Zillow's dominance in the California housing market and nationwide could be coming to an end sooner than later. Guys, as of May 1st, if you're someone who's looking to sell your home, you might not see your home on Zillow, on Realtor.com, all these apps that propagate through the IDX feed. You might not see your home, that you're dying to get all that Zillow traffic. This could stop, and this is something you definitely need to know about. And in fact, if you're someone maybe from the Bay Area coming into Sacramento to look for an amazing house, you might not even see the house that you've been counting on, waiting for, because it might not show up on the Zillow app. Guys, this is absolutely huge. We're gonna talk a little bit about this. We're gonna talk about Zillow's dominance in the real estate market. Sooner than later, this could all be coming to an end. Let's get into the video. All right, guys, this is gonna be an interesting one. I mean, so many things about this are developing because as of May 1st, a lot of stuff's happening, right? For the most part, Zillow is saying that if you market a property before, like, it gets propagated out to everywhere too, like Zillow can literally ban your listing. So like, let's say, for example, your agent, let's say, I don't know, let's say May 1st, you decide to all of a sudden list your house, right? And maybe a couple days before that, or before it actually hits the MLS and it's, fair play for everybody. And your realtor just throws it on Instagram or Facebook or YouTube, right? Before it's actually out there, Zillow will actually permanently ban your listing if they find out that you did this. And it's getting crazy. I mean, for a lot of people, we all know that Zillow, for the most part, is kind of the monster out there, right? I mean, whether we like it or not, it's a realtor created monster, but Zillow is a place where a lot of people go looking for listing. And so for me, this is really interesting as someone who does a lot of social media, a lot of marketing and everything too. Now, in real estate, everyone kind of knows coming soons are kind of taboo. And, like Compass kind of threw out the first shot saying for the most part that they could privately market listings to their internal network. And through that, all of a sudden, I mean, it's just like shots were fired and all that stuff. It's just gotten really, really out of control. Now, here's where it gets interesting. So Zillow basically said, all right, look, if we find out that, you pre-marketed or, your Compass and you're throwing it to your internal network or whatnot, like you have a permanent ban. We find out you're permanently banned from Zillow. You will not see your house on Zillow. So like, imagine if you're an agent, right? And you're like getting a listing ready to go. And then all of a sudden you start kind of marketing the property ahead of time coming May 1st. Like, you could literally not see the listing that you have, and your clients and the sellers might not see the listing on Zillow. And guess who else? Redfin. Redfin's actually backing Zillow on this as well too. Zillow and Redfin are on one side. Now, here's where it gets interesting because Compass, like I said, fired the first shot by saying, you know what, we have an internal network and this is where we're going to market all the listings. And so what you ended up seeing happen is the fact that like Homes.com, which I think you probably saw them in like the Super Bowl. I mean, they're making a huge play right now. Homes.com is becoming like a big player in our market. They weren't a couple of years ago, but now they're putting a lot of ad dollars behind it. Now, Homes.com said you should market it wherever you want. It's your home. Knock yourself out. You market it here. And Compass, guess what? If you want to market it to your internal network of people, that's great. And if you decide to put it on our network, we would love to have that listing. We're good with that. So this gets really, really interesting. So at the end of the day, you notice that there's a huge power struggle going on in this. And, in my humble opinion, I think like, the Association of Realtors, National Association of Realtors should have grabbed the bull by the horns a long, long time ago. But we let Zillow and, become this big beast. Good, bad, or whatever. At the end of the day, like if you're someone who's looking to sell your home, you want it on every single network humanly possible. You want, for the most part, so your listing will be seen by pretty much everybody so you can get the buyers. We all know right now too, although our inventory levels are low, we also realize the fact that a lot of sellers are not getting what they want for their homes. And so come May 1st, I mean, can you even imagine that? All of a sudden, like you're ready to go. You've done like the photos, you've done everything ready to go. And you find out that all of a sudden, like, you're banned. Your home that you're selling is basically banned because someone started throwing up material and Zillow found out and they just permanently banned you. So this is getting really, really good. And I think this is the thing for me, and I say this straight up. I do think that the people who are losing out on this are the buyers and the sellers. And I think it's sad, right? For the most part, because like, imagine if you're someone looking for a home and some of the sellers have blacklisted listings and, you can't see those listings. I mean, like, you're never going to know those homes exist. And so, like, I don't agree with like privately marketing it per brokerage, but I do also believe that if you're selling your house, it's your property. You can do whatever you want with it. It's your house. And I think like right now, there's a lot of people in the middle of this, like, like Redfin, like Zillow, like homes.com and everything too. And at the end of the day, it would really, really stink if you're like, it's my house. I'm going to pre-market it. I'm going to do it myself. And all of a sudden you literally get a permanent ban on Zillow. And as we know, whether we like it or not, Zillow is pretty much like it as far as all that stuff goes. And so for me, I don't know. I mean, for me, like being someone who does a lot of social media, a lot of videos and everything too, we love the idea that, a lot of times, like, like a lot of people find the listings that we list on YouTube, right? And it's just, I don't know, it's gonna be a crazy market. And like, I think buyers right now, I think you're going to get another kick in the teeth by like Zillow and by like homes.com. I think it's going to be confusing. I mean, do you look on the homes.com app where basically, kind of find everything unless Compass decides not to put their listings there and other brokerages do as well? I mean, it's going to be very skewed data. So for you guys out there, I will say this straight up, and this is exactly how I would mitigate all this, at least for the time being. As of May 1st, work with a realtor that has access to the MLS and doesn't rely on these apps like, realtor.com, homes.com, whatever. You're always going to get real-time, faster data from direct MLS access. And your realtor will have that, right? If someone's coming up to Sacramento to look for a home, don't rely on the Zillow app, home.com app, or any of those apps, right? Rely on the MLS app. Now, where this gets a little skewed is that, are there some brokerages maybe like, putting, homes out to private networks? There are. Right now, that's going to be one of those things that's going to be a little dicey, because you're hearing about all this stuff like happening, like off-market deals. Off-market deals tend to happen with these type of private marketing of listings and private, like I said, different kind of like networks that people are marketing it to. So I would just say for you guys, like, work with a realtor that's really connected in with like, the area. Work with someone who's also has direct MLS access. Don't rely on apps like Zillow, realtor.com, or any of those apps. They're just going to end up costing you possibly the house you're looking for. Now, for me, like I said, there's a power struggle going on here, and I didn't think anyone was strong enough to go up against Zillow. Zillow is this crazy beast that, for the most part, if you are in the industry, you're going to know that, yes, Redfin's there. Homes.com is great as well, too. But Zillow's a beast. Zillow is basically that monster that realtors created based on like paying them for leads, Zillow Flex teams and everything too. So for me, I don't know. Mark, you seen a surge of out-of-state buyers looking to purchase in Sacramento? I have a feeling there's an uptick in people moving to California. I think there is too. We've been getting a lot of calls from people. We've got calls from Portland. We've actually got a lot of calls from Texas and Florida as well too. I think a lot of people like California, and want to kind of move here. I think that, you see all these videos where people are leaving California and whatnot. I've moved a lot of people who've actually moved out of California back into California. And a lot of people also who have wanted to move back into Sacramento realize that Sacramento right now isn't what it was like maybe 7 years ago as far as a price point, and they realize they can't really move back in. Sacramento is one of those spots in the California area, and I'll just say a nation in general, where like, yes, right now the economy right now is unstable. Straight up. It just doesn't, it feels like a tweet will control a job market. A tweet kills everything, right? And everyone's feeling very, very shaky, very, very nervous about the economy right now too. A lot of people who are looking to buy are still on the fence, and they're wondering like, what's going to happen next? What is tomorrow going to bring? I've never seen an economy that is so day-to-day. I've never seen this before in my entire life. Like, it's literally a day-to-day thing. And so I think you got a lot of people who are on the fence, but honestly, like, I always tell people this on this channel. I hope you guys are listening. I always say, hedge your bets and be in the strongest place that you believe in, right? Like, pardon me. I've always believed wholeheartedly that Sacramento is one of those spots that should have been bigger a long time ago, but because of bad press, because of people judging Sacramento without even coming here, I do think Sacramento didn't grow the way it should have. I think we're the state capital. I think we're close to things like Napa, to Tahoe, and everything too. I think our location is so amazing, and I think that for the most part, honestly, like, we should have blown up a whole lot sooner. And now we're kind of jumping into that. And I think people realize the fact that if you are moving to California and you don't want to pay like $2 million for like a condo somewhere in the Bay Area, or, $1.5 million for a home somewhere in San Diego or Southern California, like Sacramento is still that spot where you get like the California lifestyle. And it's a market that's growing even in these tough economic times. I mean, as you've seen, we have hospitals going up left and right. Aggie Square, we're going to do a new one of that, and phase 2 of that. Yeah, there's some things being a little delayed, like Elk Grove. We'll go into the museum and talk or about the zoo in a second, and X Games. But for the most part, we're an up and coming area. We got Shaquille O'Neal, general manager of the Sacramento State, what's called basketball team over there too. So I mean, there's kind of fun things happening in the Sacramento area. But for me, straight up, I'd say like if you are in shaky times, you want to go to a market that you believe in. I think the new homes, like I said, are a little bit in trouble, but I think for us, it's nice that you have that kind of inventory that you can jump into. We have a lot of clients coming in looking for new homes, and like you look at Elk Grove, what we got like maybe 15 communities. We got maybe another like 12 up in Folsom. We got maybe like 15 in the Roseville area. We got like maybe at least 10 in the West Sacramento area. Natomas now is starting to build again too, and they have like at least 4 communities over there. You got Vineyards, you got Rancho, you got Lincoln, you got El Dorado Hills. So for us, I don't know, guys. I mean, I love the idea of living in Sacramento because, like I said, if you're going to be in a storm, if you're going to be in this economic kind of weird times, you know what I mean? You want to hedge your bets as much as humanly possible. For me, I wouldn't want to be in the Bay Area right now because of tech. I wouldn't want to be. I know a lot of people in San Francisco, in the Bay Area, a lot of people who actually were looking to work with us, and a lot of people lost money in the stock market, and it kind of, nixed a lot of their plans. And so for us, I like the Sacramento area, and I think a lot of people right now are realizing the fact that things are shaky. And I think what you're seeing for a lot of these people moving into California is like, one, they want the California lifestyle. 2 is they don't want to spend $2 million just on a condo. And they want to be close to things like Tahoe. They want a nice big house. They want to have that lifestyle. They want to have that community vibe. And I think Sacramento is like perfect for that. Like I've always said this on this channel, for me, I'm not looking at it from someone who's grown up in Sacramento. I didn't, my wife did. I didn't. I'm looking at it from a person who came in like, what was it, like 15 years ago, and, had a big old chip on my shoulder, walked into Sacramento thinking to myself, like, Sacramento is a place that I usually stop when I go to Tahoe. I'm going to visit Sacramento, take a look at it, see what it's got. And I fell in love with Sacramento. And it was kind of like, I can't believe I didn't move up here sooner. So when I talk about Sacramento, when I talk about my love for Sacramento, the Sacramento area, I come from it, like the direction I'm coming at is that I grew up in the Bay Area. The Bay Area is super expensive to live. I didn't want to just settle for an area and maybe cross my fingers I could get just anything somewhere in the Bay Area and be happy about it. I wanted that house that like I always dreamt of having. I wanted the backyard. I wanted the pool. I wanted the barbecue. I wanted to invite people over and not feel like I'm pressed against the corner of my house. I wanted that type of house. Can you get in the Bay Area? You definitely can get in the Bay Area, but you're talking like 2 million, 3 million more. And in these kind of interest rate times, like 7%, I mean, can you even fathom, even if you put 20% down, that type of like mortgage payment, that's insane. So for me, I don't know. Like I said, Sacramento for me, like if you're looking for California, if you're looking for fun things to do, if you're looking for a great food scene, great location, growing, in a place, honestly, like people are always complaining about like that we're not really affordable anymore in the Sacramento area. I can guarantee you almost like in 3 to 4 years, we're even going to be more unaffordable in the Sacramento area. And like I said, it's a little bit of a shame, but I do think that if you see everything that's happening in Sacramento, you can kind of come to that conclusion yourself as well too. All right. California feels like too much coffee. California feels like the safest place to be, especially Sacramento. Agree, we're in an amazing spot. Yeah, like I said, for me, I always think about it this way. Like, when I was living in the Bay Area, it was one of those things that, my job barely paid my rent going out, and it was like a paycheck to paycheck thing. And it was so scary. Like, it was like one of those things where like, I was stuck at a job I didn't like, but like I was stuck there because I was going paycheck to paycheck. In Sacramento, it was one of those things because the affordability here is a lot better than the Bay Area. I was able to put money away. I was able to like buy a house I absolutely love. And I was in an economy that's like thriving. I mean, yeah, you're going to hear it like it's not the perfect time anywhere in the nation, but if you compare us to like Florida, compare us to like Texas, like those markets are hurting. In Cal and Sacramento, we're doing pretty good considering like everyone else in the United States seems to be bombing. So for me, I'm pretty happy with Sacramento right now. For me, I think that Sacramento in general, I think like I said, guys, I don't know when this is going to happen, but I tell you something, if somehow rates start to dip and all of a sudden we get into 5 territory, like believe me when I say this, Sacramento will hit another amazing growth spurt. And the people that bought will probably be super grateful they did. And the people who didn't buy and they were complaining at this point of it being unaffordable, they're going to go to another level and just go like, it was unaffordable then. And now I just can't even get into the market. I've seen it happen in other areas. And like I said, if rates start to dip a little bit, like, in the 5s, I mean, the demand that we're going to get is going to be out of control. Right now, demand is a little slow. And I don't think that's basically based on people not wanting to come into Sacramento. I think for the most part, the economy, like I said, one tweet changes the entire world. I think everyone's scared. Everyone's nervous. Everyone kind of like wants to hoard the cash as much as possible and kind of figure out like what that move looks like next. And I don't blame them. Like in these times right now too, everyone's got to start planning on like, okay, look, we have enough cash to get us through at least a year. And hopefully after that, things will kind of be better and everything too. And so, a lot of people have debt. A lot of people need to pay off student loans. And a lot of people are in jobs that they assumed were bulletproof, but now we're finding out that some of these jobs aren't. So, I think that that's what's slowing down the demand. I have a lot of conversations with the realtors all the time and mortgage professionals and just people in Sacramento. And a lot of people are asking me, why do I think like there's a little slower demand right now? And I'll tell you, like, it's just economic instability. Like you just don't know what to expect. Like I said, I've never really experienced an economy that is like a day-to-day thing. There's something else happening that completely like sucker punches you, and all of a sudden you're like, wow, I thought I was safe and now I'm not. So I think that majority of the people right now that are on the fence, maybe are thinking, I wanted to move to Sacramento. I don't think it's something people are saying, nah, I'm not moving to Sacramento. I think it's for the most part, they're like, I still want to move to Sacramento, but I just got to make sure my ducks are all in a row. And I just got to make sure that like tomorrow's a better day and I feel more comfortable about my purchase. And like I said, I don't blame you guys. I think that that's a safe play. Now, currently in the market, it's slower demand, but again, if a house is priced right location, I mean, it will still do its magic. So just like I said, just be aware that if you see a house in like, let's say Roseville, right? A 4 and 2 with a pool in East Roseville, and it's going for like $800,000. And you're thinking to yourself, I was watching this guy on YouTube and he said the demand was a little slower. I mean, $800,000 for a pool in Roseville, nice big, let's say 3,000 square foot house, it's going to fly. So there are still a lot of listings based on the location, based on exactly like aggressive pricing that you're going to see fly. Do I think that there's a lot of houses that are still like overpriced? I think there are. I think there's a lot of sellers sitting on 2.75s and they're just like, hey, if it sells, it sells. If it doesn't, it doesn't. And I think we might see those buyer or those sellers become a little more serious as summer progresses. I think everyone in real estate is feeling a little bit of a lull. Like I went to my meeting at my new brokerage guide, which I'm excited about being part of. And, there is a little bit of lull in the air. It doesn't mean a lot of people aren't, getting business. It doesn't mean the business isn't happening, but there's a shift, right? Like I was talking to this really nice guy next to me. We were talking about the market and we are talking about how is it looking for you. And he was telling me, he's like, you know what? It's a little bit of a switch right now. I have more listings now than I actually have buyers. And he's like, I'm feeling more like everyone has more listings and less people have buyers that are actually looking to move in. And I would say that's pretty much the sentiment in the Sacramento area right now. I think there's other things at play as well too. I think the new homes right now are probably freaking out because of tariffs and everything too, and what that's going to mean to them. My stock guy called me today and he's like, hey, what do you think about the new homes? I mean, they're they're 40% down and it might be a good time to buy. And I was like, I think they're going to go down a little further, to be honest. I think I think home prices are going to go up a little bit in the new home game. So for me, I don't know. It's going to be an interesting market. All right. I'm glad I found out about Zillow's new policy. Right. Let me see if I can talk right. It's too much coffee. I'm trying this cold brew stuff from Starbucks and it's messing with me. I'm glad I found out about Zillow's new policy right before I listed my house in East Roseville 6 days ago. It's already hard and anxious enough for people selling homes right now. It's unfair. I totally agree with you. And here's the thing that stinks. And getting back to the whole Zillow topic, we let Zillow kind of become this type of a force in our market where they can basically kind of do whatever they want. Now, do I think do I want my listings to appear on Zillow? 100%. I want my listings to appear on buses, on park benches, on YouTube, wherever I can, because that's my job to make sure that I get as many eyeballs as humanly possible on my clients' houses. But at the same time, like Zillow has a lot of power in the real estate market, and we've let it happen for the most part too. I would also say this: if a lot of people are listening to like this Zillow thing and they're maybe working with like a team or someone who's a Zillow Flex team, I would say, as long as you know the people, I would say like go for that. But you have to understand, like Zillow is not after, like I'm seeing a lot of these videos for a lot of these people who are basically saying, oh, I'm glad Zillow stood up for this. The thing with Zillow is Zillow's a machine. Zillow's a business, and Zillow is there to make money. Homes.com is the same way. Compass and Redfin is as well too. They're not saying to themselves, hey, you know what? We're a nonprofit. We're looking out for you guys. We want number one. It just isn't the way it is, right? So Zillow, they've had a huge grasp on our market. And what they were freaking out about is the idea that Compass was going to come out and they were going to advertise their listings privately. And then all of a sudden, other people would follow suit and Zillow would lose its grip and grasp of the real estate market. And so it had to do this. This was like, it was like they were forced in the corner and they were like, we can't have other brokerages like Compass is doing this, because then all of a sudden our stranglehold of the real estate market will be gone. And so them putting up, them doing a stand right here is like, it's just like kind of like they had to do. Because as everybody knows, Zillow is super powerful in the real estate market. And it's interesting because you got homes.com, which is like the new player in town. And they're saying, you know what? It's your home. Do what you want to do. List with us if you feel like it. You're always welcome here. So they're playing on the other side of this. Now, homes.com, of course, I mean, they're benefiting. Who benefits to homes.com by doing that? Homes.com, of course. But it's an interesting play right now, too. And I'll tell you, though, honestly, if it's me and I'm looking to sell my home, I'm not a big fan of Zillow. I'm really not a big fan of Zillow Flex teams, just myself, and it's not because I don't like Zillow Flex agents, because I think they hustle, man. The Zillow Flex agents hustle. The team model, it's just, I've seen, it's just not really fair. It's kind of one of those things where Zillow will take 40% of the commission on the leads that they're giving to these agents. And then the head of the Zillow Flex team, whatever, will take another, like, I don't know, 30, 40%. And so the agent who's actually doing the work, who's actually hustling for you, like doesn't get paid what they should. So that's another topic. But for the most part, here's the thing about Zillow. If it was me and I'm looking to sell my home, I would probably, honestly, like I would make sure that, when I'm signing a listing agreement, it didn't say that I'm going to market my house prior to it. I would be very clear with my realtor and say, I don't want to see this thing going before our live date starting May, and just make sure that you're completely clear about this. It's going to be interesting too for liability. I mean, think about this. Like you're listing your home with a realtor and they just, they're excited, right? And they're posting, they're excited and they're on Instagram and they're just grabbing their phone. They're like, hey, I'm at this new listing we have coming to the market tomorrow. This is going to be awesome. I can't wait to show you guys this. Like that alone could get you blacklisted. I mean, how crazy is that? Instagram story and boom, all of a sudden your house is not on Zillow and now not on Redfin. I mean, that's just absolutely crazy times that we're in. And like I said, for me, I don't think we ever should have let Zillow get this powerful. I think the crazy part is that the MLS is like, it's where all the information is stored. And how it kind of works is like, as an agent, you'll get a listing and you'll like put it into your MLS. You'll put it in, all that stuff too, add your photos and everything too. And then all of a sudden, like, after it goes live, it propagates to like Zillow, Redfin, or whatever. It's like a feed. So it goes to all these sources. So, the MLS kind of controlled it all. And it was, with CAR and, California Association of Realtors, National Association of Realtors, like they have all the power, but they let Zillow get so big that all of a sudden Zillow's calling all the shots. So for me, guys, I would say this: just make sure when you're listing a home starting May 1st, that you're really, really 100% sure that your agent understands this whole Zillow thing. And you make sure that at the end of the day, love Zillow or you don't love Zillow, but honestly, you want to have your house listed and shown every single spot possible. Homes.com, Zillow, YouTube, TikTok, and just make sure your realtor kind of gets that. And if your realtor hasn't heard about that yet, you got to let them know. You got to make them aware of that, because this is going to be something that honestly is going to bite a lot of people in the butt. Now, here's the thing though, too. I mean, I'm wondering how Zillow is actually going to police this, because, you know, I mean, how many realtors are there? How many people are posting and everything too? So it's going to be interesting, and there's a power struggle. But my true belief in all this is like Redfin, Zillow, Compass, Homes.com, MLS, they're trying to fight for power. And what all they're doing right now is screwing over buyers and sellers, because they can't get their stuff together and figure out what's best for buyers and sellers, and also best to grow their businesses. This is like brutal. And, you know, honestly, guys, get a little bit, I'll keep you guys updated on this issue straight up. But for me, just make sure you guys know the rules. Make sure that, like, if you are selling your house in these times, like I said, I know it's low inventory, so everyone thinks things are going to fly. Not so. Just be very careful when you're listing your house, because come May 1st, you could be a whole lot of problems. So, okay, that's all I'm going to talk about Zillow. And here are the key points for you guys just to go over a little bit. Starting May, any property listing that is publicly marketed to consumers but not listed on your local MLS and propagated everywhere within 1 business day will no longer appear on Zillow. The step is in line with the National Association of Realtors. They're trying to appease everybody. A clear corporation policy, which aims to prevent exclusive real estate listings and increase fairness among buyers. Honestly, guys, I do get it. There's so much to this, right? Like, there's just so much to this topic, because, like, yes, it's fair, but yes, the owner owns the house and they should be able to choose how they market it to where. I also think, though, if you guys are working with, like, let's say like a brokerage, and they're saying to you, hey, look, we're only going to market it to our network because we have the best agents in the world, and like, we're going to promote it there and we're going to sell it. Don't do it. I'm telling you, and I tell this to everyone who we sell houses with, our job is to get as many eyeballs as humanly possible on your listing. YouTube, Facebook, MLS, Zillow, Redfin. If you get it in front of more people, that just brings in a lot more like demand for your listing. And so for me, be very careful, guys. And if you have any questions about the Zillow stuff, just let me know. We've already run into this topic a few times. We've been talking at the brokerage as well too, but it's something to really, really, really be cognizant of. And here's the thing, my brokerage talked about this straight up, and I know a lot of brokerages don't even talk about this. And I can tell you this straight up. If they don't talk about this and they don't address this, come May 1st, I'm going to tell you, if a couple sellers here and there get blacklisted from Zillow, there's going to be damages. There's going to be lawsuits happening, guys. So I would say talk to your brokerage, figure out exactly how to comply to make sure your listing gets on Zillow, Homes.com, YouTube, and whatnot. Make sure you're doing that, because you're really, really, really going to pull the rug out from under the sellers. And you guys got to just make sure that at the end of the day, if you're a realtor and you're watching this, our job isn't to appease Zillow, MLS, or whatever. It's to appease the people we're selling their houses, the owners of the houses. And by doing that, you just got to know, got to know the laws, got to know the rules, and just got to make sure that you're getting as many eyeballs as humanly possible. Okay, so that's it, guys. That's Zillow. Man, that's going to be nuts. And Zillow Flex teams, if you guys haven't seen these, Zillow Flex, for the most part, Zillow Flex teams are, like I said, 40% cut to Zillow and then a cut to the team lead or the owner of the Zillow Flex team. And for me, not a big fan of that. I think the realtor gets a little shortchanged in that, but a lot of people who get into the industry join Zillow Flex. Now, this is one of the things that they try to protect. Zillow is a money generator with all the leads, and I'm not a big fan of Zillow, but at the same time, the people we work with tend to be a little bit more, we treat people a little bit more based on the YouTube videos, and people reach out based on what they're seeing here, as opposed to like the Zillow leads and, that kind of stuff too. We don't really deal with that. I'm not a big fan of Zillow. One of the things I don't like about Zillow is that they put agents pay to put their faces by listings. So people assume that they're the listing agent, and all of a sudden they call them up. And they do kind of like the shuffle where they meet them out there. So just also make sure that if you're talking to someone, a Zillow Flex person, make sure they're actually the listing agent if that's who you want to get in touch with. There's a little bit of a smoke and mirrors with Zillow that I'm not a big fan of. Now, Zillow Flex agents, I think they're some of the hardest working agents out there. I just think the pay structure should be a little bit better for the amount of money, time, and energy they put into these leads. And I think, like I said, a lot of these brokerages or a lot of these like teams, right? Like your EXPs, LPTs, like Real and everything too, they run on almost like an MLM model. So the more people they bring in, the more revenue share they're going to get. And so what you notice too is a lot of them are based on, or a lot of them are Zillow Flex teams, and they just up their ad spend so they get more leads to basically fuel the team. And so what you're going to notice too is a lot of these Zillow Flex teams are all over social media saying like, hey, good job, Zillow. So just be careful who you're listening to about all this stuff too. But at the end of the day, just make sure your listing appears on Zillow, Redfin, Homes.com, on YouTube and Facebook, and just know the laws before May 1st hits, and you guys will be okay. And if you guys have any questions about it, reach out to our team. We list a lot of homes in the area, and we're always in tune to making sure we got more eyeballs than anything else on your homes. So just like I said, like, just know the rules, know the laws. And if your listing agent hasn't mentioned this to you yet, they might not know about it. Okay, next, what do we got here? All right, Shaquille O'Neal agrees to be the Sacramento State's GM. Shaquille, if you're looking for a realtor, I got you, man. All right. Elk Grove scoot over Sacramento with their zoo shenanigans. Disappointing. Keeping it inland park is a move now, right? Yeah, I think so. I mean, Elk Grove. I mean, okay. Here's my thoughts on the zoo. I think the zoo would have been good for Elk Grove, right? As far as making Elk Grove money and the economy of Elk Grove. I will tell you one thing though, the thing about the zoo that was, I think, scaring people a little bit was the traffic that it was going to add to Elk Grove. And I heard a lot of people, I kid you not, I'm not even joking. Like, we had a few people looking to buy at the new home communities, and they were worried about the smells that would come from the zoo. So while I do get it, Elk Grove kind of screwed that up a little bit too. I'm not saying it's a great move, but I'm saying I'm looking for the silver lining. I'm saying, like, probably not as much traffic. Because I mean, imagine, we're not talking about just the Sacramento Zoo moving to Elk Grove. I mean, they were going to turn it into a theme park out there too. I mean, think about this. You buy yourself like $1 million home, Taylor Morrison home, and you're like, what, like 3 blocks from the zoo? I mean, could there be smells coming in from the animals? Could it be something where you're experiencing brutal traffic? So, yeah. But I mean, here's the thing, guys. Also, as much as I love Elk Grove, and I think they're one of the, if not the hottest, most competitive market in the Sacramento area, I also think they've done really, really crazy stuff. Like the innovation, I think it was Innovation Plaza that's happening in Natoma as a medical center. Elk Grove had a chance for that as well too. And Elk Grove just sat on its hands and it went somewhere else. So Elk Grove's kind of like, this is nothing new for Elk Grove, and they do this a lot. And it's a shame. Like I said, I mean, now no zoo. So for those who wanted the zoo, it's not going to happen. I mean, you never know, it might change, but it's probably not going to happen. And for those people who didn't want the zoo, your wish just came true. The zoo, no more Elk Grove. It's staying in Sacramento. That's nuts. All right. X Games, guys, postponed for next year. Yeah, that's kind of brutal. I was talking to a good friend of mine, Chris. He works at one of the local TV stations as well too. And he was talking about this as well too. And he's like, no, it's only postponed. So I think, so I think for the most part, like, we're going to see the X Games next year. All right. The smell, been to land park many times. I've never smelled animal smells. I know, like, I'm telling you, like, I kid you not, I've never lived near a zoo, and it was interesting. But, you know, for me, it's like a couple people, you know, were looking at Taylor Morrison homes, and I was like, that's so interesting. I mean, I could imagine there would be smells, but yeah, I don't know. I've never lived near a zoo. I've never, like, you know, whenever I've gone to a zoo, they seem to be like, I mean, and the Elk Grove Zoo seemed like it was going to be very modern, very much like that. So I don't know, but a lot of people, honestly, I kid you not, I had a few people that were looking at Taylor Morrison, and they were like, where's the zoo? I was like, over there. And they're like, yeah, that's not going to work for us. So I don't know. Like I said, I've never lived near a zoo, but all I can tell you is pass on some of the information that some of the clients were worried about who are moving into some of the new homes. That's it. I don't know. Let me ask you though a question. Would you wanted the zoo in Elk Grove? Were you like for it? Do you think it would have brought in traffic? Because for me, I was a little bit more worried about traffic in Elk Grove. Like I said, the 757, you think about it this way, right? The zoo, Sky River Casino, all those new homes. And I'm thinking to myself, that's got to be a lot of traffic for Elk Grove. That was the thing that was worrying me the most. I mean, like if you saw the proposed plans for the Elk Grove Zoo, it looked like a theme park. So for me, I was thinking to myself, man, the traffic that just can't be good for future traffic. So that was one of my main concerns. All right. All right. Corporate greed always finds its way in these companies. Sadly, Zillow is now no different. Yeah. And like I said, I think at the end of the day, it's a shame, but I think that that all this infighting, and here's the thing: Zillow, straight up, it's a realtor created. It's not Zillow. Zillow, like I say, Zillow isn't like is like a problem that realtors created by paying for leads, by like creating this monster and giving it so much power. Zillow came, saw the opportunity, capitalized on it, created some really strong realtor like relationships with some of the top realtors here. Next thing you know, they became really a powerhouse. But it's definitely a realtor like, I mean, we created that monster. I mean, in real estate, that's just how it is. I mean, some of the largest teams here in the Sacramento area are Zillow Flex teams. I mean, they have like 50, 60 to 150 people, agents working. And they have, account managers, and they get all these leads coming in, and they just fuel. I mean, I know realtors straight up that they pay like $50,000 a month for a whole bunch of leads from Zillow. So, I mean, Zillow for me, I'm not a big fan of, but it's definitely something realtors created. Big mistake. Yeah, I know, Scott. I'm with you. I think, like I said, I think it doesn't surprise me though with what they did with that like teaching hospital, how they passed it up and it went to Natomas. It would be interesting though. Everyone's saying like I've been hearing from a lot of the sources I've been talking to that the zoo is going to stay in Sacramento, but it would be interesting if the Sacramento Zoo moved to Natomas. Just saying, that would be kind of interesting. All right, so X Games is gone for the year, but it'll be back next year. My buddy Chris was saying that it would probably happen, so that's good. Now let's talk about the rates. Boom. And I'm not saying this is what you can get, but we're seeing a little bit of a downward trend in rates. Like I said, for me, I think rates are going to hover around 7 here and there. But honestly, like, oh, I love that idea. Oh, I was going to say, I think the 624, I don't know. 624, you got some land out there. But I do think that like what you're probably going to notice is they're probably going to revamp the Sacramento area for the zoo and land park. Or, I mean, I don't know. I think moving it to Natomas might make a lot of sense as well too. They got a lot of land, up and coming area, really, really nice. So I think that it'll be interesting to see how it all plays out. All right, so here you go, guys. It is what it's called. It is April 30th. Tomorrow's May 1st. Rates are trending down. If you're someone who's looking to move out here during the summertime, I think rates are going to be like 7s like this, like we've been seeing it. I don't think they're going to do a dramatic drop, but then again, we've all been wrong before. So I'd say this is kind of how it looks. And I think that, our new homes still offering incentives. I think new homes are offering crazy incentives right now. I think they're a little scared of the tariffs. I think new homes are slow right now. And I think all those new homes that are built that no one's been moving into, I think that's kryptonite for a lot of the builders. So I'd say if you're looking for a new home, I think you could probably see a opportunity pocket like this month, May, depending on demand coming into the market, depending on where interest rates come in as well too. So I don't know. It's gonna be interesting to see how it all winds out. But I know more than anything, like my phone's been blown up off the hook by new home builders that have been saying, we got incentives. We're offering people come over here and film our communities and everything too. I've never seen too much of that except where they're hurting. So I think the new home communities for the most part right now are offering great incentives. I would say though, it's all just dependent on area. I think like if you're looking for the best incentives right now in the Sacramento area, I'd say Rancho is probably number one for incentives. Then I'd say like West Roseville, then maybe the Vineyard area. I think Lincoln's hurting too. I think I'm seeing way more incentives pop up in Lincoln. And I think the hot spots, you're not going to find too many incentives, maybe some here and there, probably be like Elk Grove and Folsom. Those markets are steadily hot. Woodside opened up their new community on the hill, and I think they start like 1.5 over there too. The only thing about that community that I'm not a big fan of is both the Woodside communities and Folsom are super close to the 50. And I think if you're going to be building like 1.5 million and above, you got to have a little space because you definitely can hear the 50. So, all right, let's get in some Q&A and I'll let you go for the evening. If you guys have any questions about Zillow, if you guys are kind of freaked out about that stuff, let me know as well too. Like I said, just make sure whoever you're hiring to list your home knows about the Zillow laws. Make sure that they're marketing your property correctly. And, like I said, you're going to hear a lot of different things. Like a lot of people are going to say, oh, there's low inventory, you can sell your house for anything you want. Completely not true. Aggressive pricing, a house is going to go for what a house is going to go for. The only thing you can control is who you're listing with and making sure they have, other than throwing it on Zillow, they have a good like reach and they can do videos for you, social media posts, and they keep pushing your house until it gets sold. So that'd be that. All right. Tariffs could mean higher prices for new homes. This is going to be interesting. How many of you guys out there think that with the tariff scare, I mean, tariff prices also, how many people think that new home prices will increase? For me, I think so. I think new home prices will definitely increase. I think that, for the most part that like I said, material increase, construction costs, higher home prices. I don't see how with tariffs being the way what's going on with tariffs, like I don't see how this isn't going to go into effect. I think, in fact, right now, I was talking to a friend of mine and I was saying, it wouldn't surprise me right now. Like if they could right now, I think that they would raise prices. I think if we were in a market where we were seeing crazy demand, they would be raising their prices a lot because they know that they're going to need to in the future and they don't want to do that dramatic increase. So I think right now, I think new homes are in trouble. I think honestly, based on what I'm seeing one is they know that the prices are going to go up probably when tariffs happen. And right now demand is low. And so they, one, need to get all the inventory sold. But number two is they have to somehow prep the market for an increase in new home prices, which we're probably going to see. Oof, it's not going to be good. So like I said, I think if someone's looking for a new home, my gut tells me that maybe like May-ish, if demand doesn't go crazy, and you're going to tell by interest rates. Interest rates, more than anything, seem to be driving a lot of new home demand. So just, keep in tune to that. What about existing homes? It seems to me it would be good news to buy one. No tariff effect. Honestly, for me, I think right now with the new homes, with the resale homes, I think there's a great market for that. Hey, Corey from last week is on here as well too. I think honestly, like for the resale stuff, I think it's a great time. I think a lot of people don't realize that you can write up an offer with a seller credit where you can buy down your rate if you're interested in that. I think right now with a lot of the existing homes on the market, some of them have been sitting for a while. Some of them are vacant. Some of them just need to be sold. And I think what you're going to notice more than not, a lot of people realize that summertime is that time that if you are going to sell your house, this is when you do it. You could see price decreases, low offers. We've been throwing in low offers for clients and getting them accepted as well too. So I think in the resale market, this is a good time to go. I think what you might see though, and this is where it gets sketchy. I think though, if you do see new home prices increase, and you might see resale homes also increase a little bit as well too, because one of the things that's helped our market out a lot is because we have new homes. Resale homes needed to be competitive with the new homes. And so if new home prices go up, you could see resale homes go up. Now, it all could be completely a moot point because demand might not just be there for new homes, if they raise their prices, and existing homes as well too. So it's going to be a very, very interesting market going forward. All right, Corey. Imagine if every brokerage had their own private library of listings. The consumer would have to search thousands of sites to see all the inventory. I know that's the crazy part about that. I think Compass, I got nothing against Compass. I honestly don't even know one Compass agent, but I have nothing against Compass, but I think they fired the first shot in this battle. And I think it just was a domino effect. And I think at the end of the day, the only one losing this thing is going to be the consumer. Imagine just like, you don't know where, like someone's coming out here to Sacramento to buy a house. And let's say, for example, someone listed your house, and let's say your house is priced aggressively and it's the house that someone in the Bay Area dreamt of, and they're driving up here and they didn't see it on Zillow, and they drive home and all of a sudden they see it as a pending sale. Maybe Zillow will let it do that or whatnot, or they see it on homes.com. How annoyed would you be? How annoyed would you be where you don't have that one spot to basically see all the homes that are available to you? If I'm a seller, I'm pissed off. Straight up. If I'm a seller and I'm saying, and someone convinces me to just list it to a brokerage or a private area or a private community, and I all of a sudden realize that my house isn't on Zillow, Redfin, homes.com or anything, I would fire my agent straight up. I think that is completely brutal. I think there's no benefit to the seller at all. And I think, in fact, you could probably get a lower price than anything else. So just like I said, be aware and just understand that, like, as of May, it's going to definitely get shaky. You might not be seeing some houses pop on Zillow that could be perfect for you. I would say at the end of the day, work with a realtor you trust, work with a realtor that, doesn't mind scouring the globe for houses for you. Make sure you have someone who's connected to the MLS as well too, that can go directly there and get you a list of current homes. If I'm someone from the Bay Area and I'm driving all this way and I'm, trying to figure out, are there any homes additionally that I should be looking at? Where's that exact list of homes? I think more than ever, like right now, talking to a realtor and saying, I'm not dealing with these apps. I want you to send me Friday night every single listing on the MLS that matches my criteria. I think that's a good place to start. And then I'd find out who, that would be the best place to start. Like, other than that, I think for me, our brokerage doesn't do that. We don't have like this, like, secret list. We don't do that just because we don't think it's fair to the buyer and the seller. So I don't know. I think that it's going to be brutal. I think coming May, I think people don't realize how much this is going to play into people finding listings. Like I said, demand is still a little low, right? But I think everyone should have the right to see what's available. It's just clustered right now with big companies like Zillow, Redfin, Homes.com, Compass. Hopefully this gets rectified, because like I said, at the end of the day, the person who's losing are buyers and sellers. And in this market, it's not a good one for buyers. And for sellers, I've seen a lot of sellers have their houses on the market and they're just sitting there. Can you imagine how worse that would be if all of a sudden your listing got you blacklisted from Zillow? Oof, not good. So just be aware of all that stuff too. And hopefully your agent has talked to you about it, because this is something that you definitely should know about. All right. Sacramento Zoo no longer moving to Elk Grove after years of planning. Thank you, Elk Grove. I will be the first. Thank you for this. Kind of typical Elk Grove fashion. They did this with the medical school as well too, and they moved to Natomas. So it stinks. This one isn't a good news, and X Games not being here this year isn't a great news. The other one too, the A's. Right now, I think A's tickets are just like not doing fantastic over there too. But I will tell you one thing. I do think the A's tickets are completely in relation to the way the Oakland A's, or A's, whatever, are in Sacramento. A's are playing in Sacramento and they're not happy about being here in Sacramento. I don't think they're really treating people here that well as well too. And I think Sacramento is kind of like, well, we're not going to go see your games. So I think that coming to the city, you should be a little bit more like friendly to the people here, accept the fact that you're going to be here for 3 years, and just kind of find Sacramento, like, we're your home for the next 3 years. Like, don't be rude, and just, enjoy the ride. That's it. You'll be in Vegas soon enough. All right. California housing markets crash coming. 2026 and the COVID era forbearance program, which allowed homeowners not to pay their mortgage during 6 years. 2026, end of the federal rental assistance. All these small-time home investors are going to be struggling if these rental assistance programs aren't renewed. So a lot of people are predicting doom and gloom for the real estate market. Also, guys, if you're enjoying the live broadcast, smash that like button. Also, Corey's here, so I'm excited. We'll have him on the show in a little bit as well too. And also, we're starting up another channel with him about investing. All right. No one's going to drive through traffic to see the A's, not when they don't welcome the city. I agree. Like, for me, like, I was just being a little bit more like relaxed about it, but it's completely rude, completely like a disrespecting the city and everything too. I'm with you. I was excited. I was thinking to myself, oh, they'd be great. Like, honestly, it would be awesome. I could take my daughter to see an A's game, maybe, team, good game. And now it's like, I'd rather go to Candlestick, honestly. Like, the A's have kind of crushed it just because of their attitude towards Sacramento. So yeah, I'm with you guys 100% on that. All right. Why is Sacramento the next big thing? Just heard the zoos, and yeah, this big news. No more zoo coming out on Elk Grove. What a shame. Okay, why Sacramento, California is the next big thing in 2025. We need BART or some transit to connect the Bay Area, so we don't have to rely on overcrowded, busted up freeways. Where is that? Yeah, I agree with you. Honestly, like, I think here's the thing. I think for Elk Grove, you got the Amtrak, connecting it in. But I definitely think as far as I go, I mean, could you imagine if there was actually like a BART type of train coming from Sacramento all the way, even like, I mean, go up to Tahoe would be a little brutal, but like Sacramento all the way to the Bay Area. Do you imagine how much, the growth that would happen with areas like Vacaville, Fairfield, Sacramento? It'd be nuts. I wish that would happen as well too, because if you've noticed, Sacramento isn't like your typical city. I always tell people this, like the metro area is like this. And in a lot of cities, what you're noticing is there's like a freeway that goes around the entire metro area where you can connect in. We don't have in Sacramento. I don't know who planned the metro area, but we don't have it. So we have arteries that get clogged up. You know what I mean? Like you got Hazel or Sierra College Boulevard, you got Sunrise, you got Bradshaw, you got all these streets that now with all these new houses being built, traffic is going to be brutal. It's already kind of brutal right now, not comparatively towards the Bay Area or LA, but you can see it coming. I mean, a lot of people, I was talking to a friend of mine today, and he's like, yeah, I got to go to Sacramento, then I got to drive back. I'm trying to make it back at 3 o'clock, so I have to deal with the traffic. 50 is a bear right now, and there's a lot of construction happening. So hopefully transit, hopefully the connector project, hopefully things like that become a little bit more of a priority in Sacramento. Because if you look at it this way, like Folsom, 30,000 homes, Elk Grove, 30,000 homes, well, West Roseville, 30. I mean, we have so many new homes being built. We're moving so many people into the Sacramento area because, like I said, Sacramento is pretty amazing, but we're moving so many people in. The infrastructure of Sacramento just isn't there. And I don't know what it is. I just don't know if they get it or they don't get it or whatnot. But like, there's no priority on like public transportation or like additional roadways. I mean, it just, oh yeah, we're just going to be putting in like, 500,000 houses in the Sacramento metro and we're good. So hopefully we do something with transit because it is getting to be brutal. All right. Can't wait to a new investment real estate channel. It's going to be awesome. Corey and I are planning on recording the first video for the channel next week. Now for that channel is going to be fun because we're going to walk with Corey with some of the commercial investments he has. We're going to walk through with a camera. We're going to showcase exactly location, square footage, ROI, and all that stuff too. And then we're going to bring it into the office and we're going to break down deals. Well, he's going to break down deals. So it's going to be a fun channel. If you guys are out there thinking about investing in the Sacramento area, quads, like single families, commercial, all that stuff too, it is going to be a phenomenal channel because what you've noticed in the Sacramento area is for the longest time, people rent in the Bay Area, but they buy in Sacramento. So you got a lot of people who hold really, really a lot of, they have a portfolio full of investments in the Sacramento area. Corey works with a lot of them. If you guys are looking for someone to help you with investment properties, commercial stuff as well too. In fact, Corey's transitioned a lot of people from single family to like multifamily to commercial properties as well too. So we're going to be breaking down all the ways that you can make money here in the Sacramento area, all the ways people here in the Sacramento area are making money through investing in real estate. Like I said, one of the big things about Sacramento is that we are on a growth spurt. So you are seeing appreciation. You are seeing like, interest rates stink. So a lot of stuff doesn't pencil, but there are creative ways as well too. Not to mention because we are Sacramento and we got like, what is it? Shriners, UC Davis Medical Center, Kaiser, all these hospitals coming in. We also have a huge network of traveling nurses and a lot of people are making money that way. So we're going to break down those type of deals for you guys. So you guys not only know amazing spots to live in the Sacramento area, but you also are going to know ways that people here are making money, retiring, like it's not like the Bay Area where we're not building, we're not growing, we're not developing. Sacramento is on fire. And so that channel is going to be about that. Hopefully we're going to launch it maybe sometime in May, but like I said, we're going to be recording 3 or 4 videos where we go and actually see these investment properties, then bring it back to the office and break down deals for you guys. So let me know right now, hit thumbs up if that's something that you guys want to see. If you guys are interested in like investment possibilities in Sacramento, quad, single families, like, commercial, multifamilies. If you guys like that stuff, leave in the comments or give it a big thumbs up because that channel is going to be fun. Okay. So on to the next question. Boom. Sacramento's the worst road to crap. Allergy season. Allergy season crushed me last week. I was doing a video for this one house and I was sneezing left and right. It was unbelievable. All right, unless you work for the government or medical industry, the job market is horrible and doesn't pay enough to live in the area. A lot of people have to commute to the Bay Area for work. I'll tell you something. There are people who commute. There's a lot of people that Zoom. A majority of the people that I work with here are usually people who like do remote work one day in the Bay Area. A lot of medical people come out here too. So I don't know. I mean, like Sacramento is a pretty, like, I would say a majority of the people I work with specifically or bring in here are people who can do the Zoom thing from the Bay Area. The dream is, of course, to get the Bay Area salary and buy a house here in Sacramento. And we have a lot of clients that are able to do that. The funniest part, though, about that is normally I'll run into them maybe like 3 years later, and they've actually switched their career and they're doing something here in Sacramento, even bringing ideas from other areas into Sacramento and having success with it. Like I said, our market's growing and people are investing in the Sacramento area, which is nice. All right, best place for date night in Sacramento. In your newly bought, newly constructed home in Roseville. I'll tell you something. This is one of the reasons why I love Sacramento so much. I always say this in my videos, but for me, one of the things that really was brutal about the Bay Area is because you buy smaller, unless you're like, rolling in it, but you buy a smaller structure, right? A condo, a little house and everything too. And you don't really have that room where you can kind of like entertain. You feel a little claustrophobic. And so you have that itch to always kind of go out and do stuff, right? A lot of people assume in the Bay Area, oh, it's because there's so many amazing restaurants and everything too. Not really. I mean, honestly, for me, it was never really about that. It was just, I just felt a little claustrophobic where I was living. And for me, like getting out, going to parks, going for walks, going like, to restaurants, going to events, it just felt like I was like, I needed to get out of my house, right? That whole idea, oh, you need to get out and get some fresh air. The thing about Sacramento that's so nice is a lot of people make the move to Sacramento and they get a bigger house than they even thought they could ever get. And they create these kind of cool loft areas, backyard spaces and everything too. So as much as this comment is a funny one in little ways, it's completely true. A lot of people, once they find their brand new home or their house that they've always dreamt of, like a lot of people don't really like to leave their homes too much. They bring in friends, they entertain, but you don't have that itch where you're like, you know what, let's get out. The kids need to walk around. Let's take them to a park. It's more like, kids are in the backyard swimming in the pool, or, we have some kind of like, structure in the backyard they can play with, or they're riding their bikes in front of the house. I mean, that's the kind of lifestyle you have in Sacramento. So as far as this goes, date night, throw on a couple steaks. You have a beautiful patio area. You can go eat, have fun, play a little music, and it's good. So for me, totally with that. All right. I feel like West Roseville and East Roseville are two different, sorry, God, it's my vision. I got to wear glasses for my next one. I feel like West Roseville and East Roseville are two distinct cities in terms of feel. I wonder what other Sac cities feel like that. Okay, so let me think. Okay, so yeah, you are right. I mean, I would say like East Roseville is going to feel a little bit like kind of Granite Bay-ish kind of vibe to it, bigger houses and everything too. The central area is kind of like, it's a little bit more like the commercial stuff, like restaurants and everything too. West Roseville, completely different. I would say one of the things that I noticed is that all the new home spots in Sacramento, maybe not Folsom, okay, but most of the new home developments, if I blindfolded you and brought you to Vineyards and dropped you there, you wouldn't know where you were as far as like Roseville, Ranch, or whatnot. All the new home communities and new areas just completely feel like different than their counterparts, right? I mean, even Folsom, right? The crazy part is Folsom, it's right next to like Costco and where Folsom, older Folsom is, right? But completely different. I mean, Folsom, you walk into a lot of the houses and they have the tri-level floors, or a lot of them are like ranch style homes. And then you flip on the other side of the 50 and you got like modern, nice, kind of like different type of curb appeal. The density is a little bit tighter over there too. I mean, it's bizarre. I think maybe actually Folsom could be the exact thing that you're looking at. Like I always call like Folsom Ranch and Russell Ranch, that whole area on the 50, like new Folsom, right? That does not look like Folsom. That does not look like Briggs Ranch. That doesn't look like Empire Ranch. That doesn't look like, Lakeview Communities. That doesn't look like any part of Folsom that I've ever seen. It looks basically like a completely different Folsom. If you drop someone in Folsom Ranch and said, where am I? Other than maybe the hills, people would be like, maybe El Dorado Hills, the new stuff. I don't know. But I would say that you are getting this weird mix of like the older, you know, tri-level homes, older structures, and all these new things that are like open concept, but just density, you know, is tighter. So I don't know. I think it's gonna be interesting to see what the landscape looks like in the future also, because honestly, like as much as I understand the benefit of like new homes, you know what I mean? There is something to be said about like for me, I love the Briggs Ranch community, no HOAs, no Melloroos, what's called Rancho Diablo right next to it as well too. You know, there's so many cute communities in Sacramento that I think in like the Folsom area in like, you know, in Roseville itself too. I think one of the things that I always say on this channel that I think holds true is that prior to COVID, you know, sold maybe like one or two new homes every single year. And because demand and there wasn't a lot of inventory and new homes answered the call. Now new homes has such a huge footprint in Sacramento and it completely reshaped the landscape of Sacramento. I would say if it wasn't for COVID, you probably wouldn't see as much aggressive new home building. And you know, like we wouldn't have lost a little bit of a step and, you know, good and bad, but at the same time, I think that, you know, it's nice that we have a lot of new homes to kind of like answer the demand of a lot of people who want to move into the Sacramento area. But I do think that, you know, older areas like, you know, like Roseville, East Roseville, like, you know, like what is it? Like the 624 in Elk Grove, like Folsom, like those areas. I mean, hopefully that stays a little bit like even like, you know, El Dorado Hills, like Ridgeview, right? Like all those areas, like they're just, there's a place for all that stuff, but there's such a dramatic difference between the new home communities and the older part of Sacramento. And the blending of those two is just gonna be really, really interesting to see how that shapes up. All right, Corey, Folsom versus Folsom Ranch, very different. I know, is it bizarre? Like Folsom, Folsom is going to be a little bit more, I don't know how to describe it. It's like windy, kind of like, you know, more spread out. You know, more kind of like, you know, 2-story kind of houses, maybe 3-story. And then you got Folsom Ranch that's just like new, the density's there. And people in older Folsom are not big fans of Folsom Ranch as well too. Completely two different cities. It's just, it's bizarre. It's gonna be interesting too when it like all the commercials, or not the commercial, like the sports center comes up in Folsom Ranch as well too. You got like UC Davis like popping up over there as well too. And then you got a couple more schools popping up there, another high school and a middle school also. That whole area of Folsom, it's going to be completely different than those two areas. Like I said, and getting back to your question about like the whole like West Roseville and Roseville, because of the distance, it's not as apparent, right? You look at it and go, yeah, it's different. I get it. It's kind of two different areas, but Folsom's like dramatic. One part of the 50 comparatively towards the other part of the 50. And I don't know. I'm a big fan of older Folsom because one of the reasons why I like the Sacramento area is the nature, you know, all that kind of stuff you can do outside. Hopefully they don't butcher Folsom Ranch too much and leave a lot of fun stuff for people to do. Because I think that's part of the reason people moved to Folsom in the first place. All right. Dun dun. All right, Wendy, I got my fingers crossed. Really, I'm excited for you. Red door. All right. The new, that's new. The downside of new communities, they'll be bland for 10 years plus at least. Yeah. I mean, like I said, new homes, there's a big place in Sacramento for new homes. I think a lot of people love the new homes. I think a lot of people also, like wanted to move and they didn't realize the new homes had so much going for them. I mean, I did a video a little while ago for like the pros and cons for new versus resale. It's tough. You know, I get why new homes are so attractive, you know, like insulation, energy efficient, you know, great room concept. And I also understand why resale is so nice, you know, more established communities, better spacing between the homes. It's just that right now in our market that we're at, because the incentives are so good, that a lot of people can't even afford the resale stuff. So it's tough. Hopefully it doesn't crush our landscape. Hopefully it doesn't turn all of Sacramento into just track home. So hopefully that doesn't happen. But my place in the 624 is awesome. I will tell you this, like 624 right now for me with the connector project coming in, I like the Shelton Estates areas as well too. I like the 624. I think it's really, really nice. I also like the 758. I like the man-made lakes out there as well too. I think Elk Grove's got a lot happening right now. The 757 scares me a little bit just with all the building that's happening out there too. But again, like I was kind of worried about the Sky River Casino, and it seems to actually be something that was a big positive to Elk Grove. So I don't know. We will see. Hey, if you guys are enjoying the broadcast, smash that like button. It would mean a lot to me and the YouTube algorithm. Appreciate it too. All right. Who wins, Daytona or Sacramento? I can't even believe anyone voted for Daytona over Sacramento. Come on, guys. Sacramento, 85%. Boom. All right. How's inventory looking? Great, same, getting worse. I'd have to go with the same. I think that like we are seeing additional inventory hit the market, but it's not dramatic. And I think if something hits the market that you've been looking for, I always say people always have great taste, and it's usually the thing everyone else has been looking for, and it goes really, really fast. I think you're seeing some retreads. I think May, you're probably going to see some stuff that you maybe saw like October hit the market as well too. So just be aware. But I will tell you this, you know, demand is definitely not as hot as I thought it would be this right now. And like I said, I'm blaming this all on basically crazy tweets and people just not feeling stable about the economy. All right. California's top location revealed 7 reasons why people are moving to Sacramento. And those are a lot of reasonably priced houses in South Sacramento, anywhere between downtown and downtown Sac and Elk Grove on listing sites, but you don't cover that area that much. Are the neighborhoods that bad? Not from Sac, but we'll be moving there from Hawaii, unfortunately, for work. You're leaving Hawaii. All right. We'll probably be renting for a year to get a little different feel of the areas first. As a family of 3 with 1-year-old daughter, which neighborhood should we avoid and which ones should we be looking to live? Okay, so I would say for price points, right? I'd say South Sac, if you're looking for something like in the 4s, I think South Sac is one of those spots where it's still doable. What you're noticing about the Sacramento area that, you know, if you talk to a realtor and say, hey, I'm looking for a 3-bedroom, 2-bath, and I'm looking for $400,000 or something around there, there's only like a few spots. I'd say like South Sac is definitely like that kind of area where you could probably get that. And you have to gauge it also. You have to check out the schools, check out the area. I think South Sac is one of those street by street areas. You know, a lot of people, when you say South Sac, they'll go, ugh. But I also have friends that live in South Sacramento that really, really love it there. And the community vibe is really, really good. So I would say for you guys, I would say depending on your price point, I would say check out crime reports. I would say check out school reports. I would say drive the area during morning, noon, and night and see how that is. I would also look at neighbors. Here's the thing. If you go to an area and you see a nice neighborhood, you know, for me, for the most part, that says a lot about the neighbors. I would say also, and as much as people are going to hate me for this comment too, if you have just like a HOA that's just there to basically enforce the CC&Rs, that's not a bad thing. I think that's one thing to protect you from having that neighbor who parks like 5 cars on the lawn. You can find something with an HOA, maybe around like $50, $80 a month or something like that, that does just that. That could be a good thing as well too. I would say if you're looking for something like, let's say like you're looking for something in the low 5s, high 4s, I would say areas like the Rosemont area, College Glen area, really, really nice. I got a bunch of friends who live in those areas. Like Matt, the mortgage guy, is over there. I got Aaron who lives over there too. They love the area, community vibe. I think Matt's like the coach of the baseball team out there too. So he really loves that area. Good community vibe. And like I said, one of the things that him and I always talk about is the fact that a lot of his clients will move into the area and then all of a sudden will leave, but will not sell the house. That house becomes a rental property because that area is really, really hot with rental opportunities as well too. So that's good. I would say if you're looking for the high 4s, low 5s, I'd say, let me think, where else would I look? I'd look at the 624. I think you could maybe do it there, but the house is going to be like, I don't know, maybe 1,500 square feet. What else do I like? Okay, so I would say if you're going in the 5s, okay, again, high 4s, low 5s. I would say Citrus Heights is another one to look at. Then in the 5s, I'd look at areas like Orangevale. I'd look at Fair Oaks. I'd look at Carmichael. I think you probably get something in the 758 in the 5s as well too in Elk Grove. What else do I like? I think Old Roseville as well too. You can do that. Then if you're moving to the 6s, I would say 6s. What would I like for the 6s? I like Roseville again. I'd say you're moving from older Roseville more to like the central Roseville type of area. 6s, I think, you know, Anatolia Rancho kind of area. I think that's pretty, you could probably do that. I'd say there's some houses in Gold River, towards Prospect Park that is really community vibe, really, really cute areas too. What else in the 6s do I like? Elk Grove, you can make that happen probably still in 757. Like I said, smaller house. Those are the areas I'd probably look at. And then after you're in the sevens, I think a lot of other places open up. But that's kind of what I'd be looking at. Like I said, if you're coming in from Hawaii, we can take you on a little bit of a tour. The other thing too about Sacramento in general is that it's not just one size fits all. Like Elk Grove, El Dorado Hills, completely different. West Roseville, completely different. New home communities, resale communities, Fair Oaks, comparatively towards Elk Grove is completely different. Then you got the Pocket area, East Sacramento. So I think when you come out here, you definitely need to feel out what area works for you, the energy, the people, go out to eat, see, just see the people, you know what I mean? And like go to Target, go shopping, and then with the schools, if you are looking at schools and you're school specific, go on the websites. Normally they have like events happening at the schools that you could show up to. You can vibe out the parents, the teachers, and see if that's the school that you want to put your kids in. Go to greatschools.org. That would be just some of the things we advise our clients on. But, like I said, if you're working with us, we'll make sure that when you're out here, we take you wherever all the places you want to see, get you educated about the area so you feel comfortable about making a decision. That's what we do with pretty much everybody we work with. All right. Mark, I know you live in Gold River. I'm interested in buying there, but I feel all the home prices priced over $1 million now should be 700s. Thoughts on putting in disrespect offer? Here's what I always say. An offer, no matter what the price is better than no offer at all. I would say also have your realtor feel out the person, like we always do that for clients too. We are always like, let's say a house is listed for 800. We'll go in there and we'll talk to you and say, okay, look, and you'll probably say, hey, I want to offer $700,000. And we'll say, well, 7 might be too low, but let me talk to the agent and see what they have to say. Talking to the agent, you're going to get a feel a little bit about like the seller situation, their tolerance level too. Are they people who like live in the house? Is there furniture there and they're living in the house and they have a 2.75 and they're trying to sell it for a high price? Then also showing comps to the agent and saying, look, these are the comps. Now, a lot of times, like we've run into this problem in Antelope where the comps on a house, showed that the house is overpriced, but the agent was like, look, my sellers don't want to budge. Normally, some of these houses, you have these sellers that are very, very stubborn. They see all this hoopla about like sellers, low inventory, they can get whatever they want. Occasionally, you have that kind of situation. So for me, honestly, I don't think there's anything bad about putting a low offer, but I would feel out the agent before you do it. Because a lot of times, like for us on the listing side, if we get a low offer, of course, we present it to the seller, but it always helps if the agent calls us first and we can prep them a little bit and say, you know what, the house is for $800,000. The agent will say the house is for 800. We want to submit at 700. And then for us, we can go to our clients and go like, look, here's the thing. We have no offers in on the house yet. We have someone offering $700,000. We know that's $100,000 less. Would that be something you'd entertain at all? And then our client would say, well, not 700, but, and then just gauge their reaction. And then agent to agent, you can kind of communicate so that we can kind of negotiate that. So it's an offer that you might be able to get a counter at, as opposed to just throwing in a cold offer and crossing your fingers. Like you got to prep the person for it a little bit too. A lot of times for me, when I write offers for my clients, when they're buyers, a lot of times I will basically talk to the listing agent and say, look, client's offering $700,000. And, agent will say like, hey, you know what? It's $800,000 and my clients are not coming down. And then I'll go back to my client and say, look, they're not interested in like, $800,000 or a $700,000 offer, but the house has been on the market for 3 weeks. Let's do this. Let's wait 3 days. Right now, they have no offers on the table. Let's just wait a little bit and let them kind of feel out the market, get a little more desperate. Then let me tag the agent again, see if maybe there's a little wiggle room. And if there isn't, then, someone else could grab the house for 8. But if you're adamant on taking it for 700, you got to kind of play the waiting game. So you got to kind of feel out the listing agent, feel out the seller as much as you can, but you got to have good communication. One of the things that I've noticed a lot in Sacramento, I think in other markets, it's not as bad, but in Sacramento, a lot of times, like, Your agents have got to earn their keep. Your agent has got to be very proactive. Talk to the listing agent, kind of feel it out, and give you a good strategy of how you're going to win, right? Not just like, oh, you know what? I called him, he didn't answer. Let's just throw in an offer. You have to prep them, especially if it's a low offer, and kind of like give you a little bit of a realistic idea and say, you know what? It's been on the market for, like, for example, sometimes we have, sorry to go on another tangent, but sometimes we have clients who like, a house will come on the market first weekend, right? And it'll be $800,000. And immediately they're like, let's go in at like 720. And I'm just like, you can't do that just yet. First weekend on the market, if you really, really want the house for 720, you got to wait a little bit. You got to let the seller understand that they priced high. If they get no offers, they're all of a sudden going to be a little bit more like receptive to a low offer. And then, of course, the client will say, hey, but what if like I don't get the house? Well, what do you want the house for 720 or do you want the house for 800? And if the client goes, well, I want the house for 800, then I go to work trying to talk to the agent to see what price would be okay to submit. Then I talk to my client. But if my client is adamant on getting it at 720, then I always tell them straight up. I say, look, here's the thing. You want the house at 720. So if you literally don't put anything in and someone picks up for 800, you didn't want it for 800 in the first place. But if you play your hand too early, they're going to know they have an offer and they can leverage your offer to get a higher offer. So waiting is the best way to go about it. I apologize if that was a little bit of a rambling, but man, there's so much strategy to real estate. Like it's like not even funny. And like, I'll talk to Michelle, I'll talk to Nikki, I'll talk to Alana, and we'll go back and forth on how we should play this, how we should like throw it out, if it's realistic, if it's not, checking out open houses, all that stuff. There's all these little facets to actually negotiating a deal in real estate. But like I said, if your agent's throwing in just a low offer and crossing your fingers and saying, hey, let's see what happens, they're just not earning their money. They're just not earning their keep. So for me, work with someone who's very aggressive and who wants to get your offer in and is going to give you a little bit of like, it's going to go, how can you say, like, do the work, right? I mean, literally, like, it takes nothing for an agent to write up an offer and throw it out there. Like, and you're making money from this. So I guess, sorry about that. So I'm a little tired tonight. I apologize. But here's the thing, work with an agent that is very, very good about talking to the agent, vibing out a situation, creating a good strategy, and figuring out exactly like what you want, what the seller, their situation of the seller, and submitting an offer that's competitive based on everything like the strategy, the days on market, the comps in the area, the desperation of the seller, and all the different like little pieces of information the agent has given them. I mean, for me, a lot of times, even little things that people might not realize, like I look at sometimes the number of the agent, right? License numbers. They're all like, how long a person's been doing real estate. Talk to my agents all the time on my team. I'm like, okay, what's the number of the person? Okay. How many transactions did they do last year? Okay. What price point, what areas, and just kind of like, even just that will help you a little bit to understand like who you're kind of like, who's on the other side of the deal. So all those things come into play. Hopefully I haven't bored you guys with this strategic lesson. All right, next, let's go back to this. All right. Bro, I live in North Sacramento, around where the house is. So I hope I own this house one day, but right now I'm 15 years old. This is another thing that's kind of crazy for me too. It's like, I look at these houses and I look at some of these prices in Sacramento, and I think they're just going to go up and up and up. One of the things that really worries me right now about just the country in general is the fact that, when I first got to Sacramento, Sacramento was that spot where like, I was seeing a lot of people just buy homes out of college or like move here. And it was just like one income, buying a home, interest rates, even though they were higher, the prices were lower and people could buy. Nowadays, it's like, you need 2 income, you need 2 good jobs, you need money in the bank to actually get a house. It's a scary thing for someone who's 15-year-old, like who's 15 right now, on what the market's going to be like in the future. I hope the market's better, but I'm definitely not optimistic as far as, a person having the ability to buy a home. I think it's just going to get harder and harder and harder. And I think in Sacramento, prices are just going to go up and up and up. All right. California housing market coming. Zillow's forecast for Sacramento. The economy, the dollar, the stock market. Why on earth would you be surprised the housing market is in trouble too? I'm not really surprised. I will tell you this though. I don't, the stock market, I think a lot of people who want to buy some, higher end homes, I think the stock market maybe held them off a little bit. I think as far as the economy, like I mentioned this a million times on the last 5 or 6 lives I've done, I think economic uncertainty, I think that's putting a lot of people off on their house buying as well too. And for me, it's not a big surprise. I don't look at this and go, oh yeah, I understand that if I was in your situation right now buying and I, tweet literally changes the game, I'd be nervous as well too. So I understand it. I'm not really surprised it's this way. I wish demand was a little bit better right now because I do think that there are some opportunities, but I understand why demand isn't as crazy as I thought it would be at this point in the year. All right, who's on the fence to move to Sacramento? I've been in Sacramento since 1980 when I started at Sac State. I lived in Midtown now for 30 years and love it. My area is very walkable with great tree canopy. Sac may not be as flashy as Chicago, NYC, or LA, but I love the vibe here. For me, I love the vibe in Sacramento. I think Sacramento has a great vibe. I think it's laid back. I think if you're someone coming in from the Bay Area, I think what you're going to notice is it's a slower pace. You don't feel that anxiety that I used to feel back in the Bay Area or when I was living in Los Angeles. I think it's a nice spot. I think the community vibe's really nice. I think the people are great around here as well too. You get a lot of people. One is the happiest people I think are people who made the move like I did and are just loving Sacramento. But I think also people in general are very neighborly here. I think people are very friendly. But I think if you're looking for something that's still in California, a slower pace, but you have like food areas close by, you have a lot of activities, I think, Sacramento is a great option for you. And I think for a lot of people who maybe, are craving flashiness like Chicago, NYC, or LA, you're going to be paying for it. Here in Sacramento, I think you're going to get laid back, relaxed. I think you're going to get good people. And I think you're going to get barbecues, block parties. And I think you're going to go back to old school, like the old school vibe of driving your bike on the streets. A lot of beach cruisers, a lot of bicyclists as well too. A lot of rafting, boating. I don't know. For me, I enjoy it here. I think I still get a little bit of that resort style vibe. And, for me, I think the vibe here in Sacramento is exactly what I experienced when I was growing up in Marin County long, long time ago, but Marin has changed. All right, next. All right, best place for date night. What do you guys think? Best place for date night in the Sacramento area. For me, my wife's a vegetarian, so Oz Barbecue wouldn't do it for me, but I love Oz Barbecue on Bradshaw. It's wherever I do business meetings. If you guys ever see me at Oz Barbecue on Bradshaw, love that place. If you're looking for an amazing spot for Korean barbecue that gets served to you by robots, go to Oz Korean Barbecue. I love, love, love that spot. I haven't been to Tofu House on Freeport, but might be hitting that soon. All right, moving to Sacramento in 2002. Watch this first. The area surrounding the rivers is depressing. Inside it is great, but outside, yeah. I think the rivers that definitely needs to be developed a little bit more. Hopefully in the future it will be. I mean, here's what you're seeing is there's going to be like a lot of Mellorews probably popping up there as well too. So hopefully they'll build a little bit more of an infrastructure. But yeah, like I said, I think that, we're going to see a lot of building in the Sacramento area. I know that the Elk Grove Zoo is scratched. X Games is coming in a year, but I do think a lot of development projects are happening. Like I said, I think Sacramento is doing a growth spurt, but the part I wish they would do a little bit faster and sooner and ahead of time is dealing with the traffic that I know is coming in the near future. Well, Sacramento, the next big thing. Excellent video. You covered a lot of ground. Yeah, guys, I'm going to be doing my next projects video probably next week with Vitaly from, and we're going to cover the updated, we're going to give you an update on all the projects that we mentioned in this video. So it's going to be a good one. All right, California's top location revealed. Also, if you guys want some updates on projects happening in the Sacramento area, just list them under the comments in this video and I'll make sure to include them on next week's project video that I'm doing. All right. California's top location revealed. Your enthusiasm for Sacramento is very convincing. I live 45 minutes from Sacramento, Auburn, and I have gone out of my way to avoid Sacramento. I've only seen the bad parts, I guess. Yeah, and here's the thing. I think a lot of people, for Sacramento in general, a lot of people hear about the bad stuff, like maybe downtown, maybe hear about all this kind of like areas that you honestly probably wouldn't even want to visit, right? I think if you look at Sacramento, the metro area in general, you're going to see some amazing spots. Like I said, like I love the 758. I love the man-made lakes, love the pocket area, Midtown. I love Doco. I love that area by the Kings Arena. I love the Kimpton Sawyer. That area I think is absolutely amazing. I like, what is it called? I like West Sacramento as well too. I like El Dorado Hills. I think some of the best sunsets I've ever seen in my life. I like Folsom around the Briggs Ranch area as well too. I don't know. For me, I think Sacramento, if you just, say, hey, downtown, that's what Sacramento is all about, you're going to miss out on some of the best spots in Sacramento. I think Sacramento is you can explore. There's biking trails, there's hiking trails, there's fun restaurants that you probably never heard of, but if you go to, you're probably going to go back once every single week like I do. I think Sacramento's fun. I think it's a fun place to explore. And I really do think you need to give some of these spots like more of an opportunity, more of a chance. For me, like I said, like for me growing up, I just thought Sacramento was downtown, hot, flat, in a place you passed on the way to Tahoe. And then I stopped in and I realized that there were so many amazing spots in the Sacramento area. And I started exploring and I fell in love with the area. So for me, explore, you'll enjoy it. Believe me. All right, Zillow's housing market crash coming. New home listings have flooded Zillow. Well, let me see if I can do the verbiage better. California housing market crash coming. Zillow's forecast for Sacramento. New home listings have been flooding Zillow and Lincoln. So much inventory building up, both new and existing. I think it's a head in sand to not expect a downturn now. Foreclosures, Airbnb, investors, all unloading at the same time. Here's the thing I'll tell you. I think a lot of the listings that you're seeing sit are overpriced listings. I think for the most part, I think new homes too. I think new homes are a little bit in trouble right now. That's kind of what I'm seeing. I think they could be even more trouble if interest rates don't drop a little bit and we get a more general feeling of economic stability, which I don't think we're going to get. I think as far as foreclosures, I think as far as like market crash in Sacramento, I think if anything, Sacramento's market's going to go like that. Flatline a little bit as far as like appreciation, as far as all that stuff too. I think the biggest thing for me though is I think new homes are going to be in trouble. I think the tariffs really scare them. I think I'm seeing a lot of inventory stack up. Now, that's not with all builders. That's not with all areas. I still think Elk Grove is hot, hot, hot. I still think Folsom is hot, 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 except maybe those Woodside communities. But I think Folsom is still a hot market. I think areas where you can get deals, like I said before, Rancho. I think Lincoln's great, but they do this every time in Lincoln. They do the same thing. They overbuild. And I think Lincoln is falling into that trap again too. But I do think right now, what we're seeing right now is economic uncertainty. A lot of demand isn't there. I think resale inventory higher price than it should be. And I think with new homes, I think we're seeing like inventory stack up. And I think if tariffs scares coming to new homes in the near future, I think the new homes are kind of stuck between a rock and a hard place. So do I think the market could get a little worse in the future? Absolutely. Do I think we're going to head into a crash? Nah, I don't see that coming. So, I mean, we could, if you are concerned about a crash, I would say the one place that you're going to find out about a crash every single week on Wednesday, 7 p.m. is this channel. I'll give it to you guys straight. If I'm seeing like some really crazy danger signs, believe me when I say this, it's 7 p.m. on a Wednesday. I got no defenses. I'll tell you exactly how it is. Okay, Sacramento, California, top 6 suburbs. As someone who is involved with the construction and grading phases all around Sacramento area, I do have to say the soil in Elk Grove and Folsom area is nightmarish at times, which creates markups eventually paid by buyers. Yeah, the areas that I've been hearing of, they're just a nightmare to build. I haven't heard too much about Elk Grove, but I've heard of Folsom, El Dorado Hills. And the one area though, for me that is brutal is Granite Bay. Can you guess why? Granite Bay is just a nightmare to build in as well too. So I do think there's certain areas. I do think that the grading, I think the retaining walls and stuff too. I think Folsom Ranch, maybe like that area too. I'd say also definitely a pass to the buyers as well. I think it's part of the reason why Folsom's price point has gone up and up and up. All right, who wins? Austin, Sacramento. I like Austin. I will say this. Austin, if there's any city in Texas I would visit, never live, but visit, it would be Austin. But Sacramento, 83%. Also, guys, if you guys know good realtors in other cities throughout the United States that wouldn't mind jumping on the show and doing a little bit of a battle, Sacramento versus, I'm always game for that. So if you're a realtor and you're watching this and you live in Austin, or you live in like Daytona, Phoenix, Las Vegas, and you want to come on the show and you want to talk a little bit of the verses, which one wins, I'm always game for that as well too. All right, update Sacramento real estate market. How is the current market doing? Great information, thank you. No problem. And also, we'll be doing more videos. I have another video coming out on Friday as well too. We got another couple of house tours as well. So there's gonna be a lot coming out on this channel. And we're starting the second channel with Corey. And we actually might also be doing a luxury home tour that might actually get publicized on local news. So stay tuned for a whole bunch of stuff happening on this channel. All right, Sacramento's budget deficit might bring layoffs more than a decade. Yeah, I'll keep you abreast of this. And this originally was going to be the topic that I was talking about tonight. What we're seeing is because of the deficit, you could see like trash going up. You could be seeing services going up, and there could be layoffs coming to Sacramento. I don't know. I need to dive into this topic, and probably I'll address it in next week's live with Michelle Drews, who's going to be popping on the live as well too. Well, I'm going to go in depth in this. I have a few calls that I already made, but I want to get some firsthand accounts of what this impact could be on our market. What things could we see increasing pricing? I'm wondering if SMUD might even increase. I'm just wondering exactly what this means to Sacramento. So honestly, I'll find that out. I will find that out for you guys. And then maybe next week's live, we'll talk a little bit about this because this is going to be big. Okay, Sacramento's best neighborhoods, no Melrose HOAs. East Sac is so expensive. 1 million will not get you anything. I'll tell you this. East Sac, I think, is right now a little soft. I think in East Sacramento, you could probably get something for like $800,000. In fact, Michelle knows a few houses that are going to be coming up. So I would talk to her directly. Her kids go to school down there. She's networked into East Sacramento like nothing else. And she's actually gotten a couple clients, some amazing homes in East Sacramento in the 800s. So I talked to her. All right. Sacramento's a big problem. Everyone in California is moving here. I think state jobs to be created in more counties. So many are in Sacramento County. You know, here's the thing. I think there is a little validity to this as far as state jobs being spread out throughout the state. But I will say this, take advantage of the fact that there are so many state jobs in the Sacramento area, not only for our economy here, but also for people who are like moving into the area. I would say state jobs for the most part, like, you know, like I said, with this economy, it's who's to know what tomorrow brings. But what I've heard more than not, state jobs are as bulletproof as they get. And in a shaky economy, I wouldn't mind having a state job myself. All right. I think that is it for the evening. All right, guys, thanks again for tuning in. I appreciate it. Like I said, next week, I'm going to be bringing on Michelle Drews. We're going to talk a little bit about Sacramento proper. We're going to be talking a little bit about the deficit, how it's going to impact Sacramento, what services are going to be affected. And for anyone who's moving into the area, how is that going to impact our market? So again, guys, hopefully you enjoyed this broadcast. And like I said, if you did, please smash that like button. Zillow, hopefully you watched the beginning of the video. Zillow, it's going to be a big one. You don't want to get yourself blacklisted from Zillow. And like I said, as of May, make sure that whoever you're listing your home with knows the rules, because the last thing you want to do is list your home and all of a sudden not see it on Zillow. You know, less buyers, less eyeballs, and probably less price tag you're going to be selling your house for. All right, guys, enjoy the evening. Okay, guys, hopefully you enjoyed the live broadcast that we do every single Wednesday at 7 p.m. If you're someone who's thinking about moving into Sacramento, if you're someone who's looking to move in and know about the Sacramento housing market on a weekly basis, this show's for you. Like I said, guys, the market changes really, really fast, and this show is meant to give you some real-time data, help you get educated, and if you are thinking about making the move to Sacramento, hopefully watch the show, ask your questions, and then when you're ready, hit the Zoom link below. We're one of the top relocation teams in the Sacramento area, and we'd absolutely love the chance to work with you, find you your dream home. Now, here's the thing, guys. If you're someone in the Sacramento area and you're thinking about selling your home, it might not show up on Zillow or Redfin. So why not work with the #1 team that utilizes social media like no other team in the Sacramento area? YouTube, Instagram, TikTok, LinkedIn, Facebook, you name it, and we use it to make sure you get the most eyeballs possible on your home. And in this ever-changing market, you need every single person looking at your home in order to get top dollar for it. Now, one last thing before I go, there's a playlist right over there of other live broadcasts I've done. Hit that playlist. You'll thank me later. All right, guys, until next video, this is Mark. Have a good one.